Hey everybody, Davey here from Davey's World Fishing. Today I'm going to introduce you to the brand new Rockaway HD long casting surf rods by Okuma. Now the Rockaway family of surf rods is something that's been in the Okuma lineup for quite a few years now. It's the regular Rockaway surf rods, all spinning models, great selection. As I mentioned, they've been popular for probably about a good 5 years now. Last year, Okuma actually expanded that Rockaway family and added the Okuma SP rods, which is more your surf perch. They're all about an 8'6", light surf fishing, Southern California rod, awesome for that. And then this year, they introduced the Rockaway HD rods. So these are going to be your heavy duty, long casting, big fish surf rods from Okuma. That's the Rockaway HD. Let's take a look at these guys. We're going to go through it component by component, and they're pretty awesome. Hope you enjoy them. So the first thing I want to talk about on the Rockaway HD rods is the blank composition. The Rockaway HD rods actually feature a 24-30 ton low resin carbon blank design. Very sensitive rods that you can really load up and cast absolutely forever. These rods, like some of their other rods, actually feature that Ufr tip section. So about that top 1/3 to 1/4 of that rod actually has unilateral fibers that run lengthwise of that rod, not necessarily spun like a regular graphite rod, but actually unilateral. What that does is those actually allow them to rub on each other and create more strength, more braking strength. So you can actually really load these guys up. You're going to get 25 to 30% more strength, so you can actually lift and not snap the rods. I wouldn't suggest high sticking these guys with a big rock, or if you're snagged on the bottom trying to unsnag it, but there's a lot of lifting power on these rods. Very cool technology. So let's go through component by component. We'll start down at the bottom and we'll work our way right up to the top. So starting down at the bottom of these, you're going to notice it's got a nice rubber butt section. All the way down there, it's got a nice rubber cap that goes right over that end. It's not going to slide around if you're on a hard surface. It's very sensitive if you want to put that into your gut, if you're winding in a fish or on your belt or however you want to work it. It's a nice, easy, it's a hard rubber. It's not soft, so you're not going to be cutting it up or anything else, but nice little rubber butt section right on the end of that rod. And that leads right up into a tapered, textured shrink tube rear grip section, as well as a foregrip section. So both of them, it's exactly the same. Hopefully you can see that in the video there, but that's actually a textured grip design. So you can actually really get your fingers in there and it feels good. You're gonna get a grip. It's not gonna rotate in your hand at all. But that's that textured grip design. It's a shrink tube design, goes right over that blank, so you're pretty much connected directly to the blank. You can feel all your bites, you can feel it, very sensitive, nice little section. Now working your way up the design here, this is an Okuma reel seat. It's a carbon fiber reel seat with stainless steel hoods, and it's actually a double locking system. As you can see, it's actually a screw up system, so you put your reel in there, you screw it in tight, and then that double lock is that section aluminum piece right here in the back. You slide that right in there and you can really lock that reel in tight. Now what that does with all day casting, this isn't going to back off. It can't, because it's got that secondary system. You see that in a lot of high-end rods. A lot of bass rods now use that nowadays, but I think it's one of the first ones that use it on surf rods. I could be wrong on that, but it's a very cool feature. Nice, kind of a minimal, pretty basic reel seat in that. But working your way up here, these rods actually feature that 70-30 rod split design. The rod I happen to have here is a 10'6". So that first section of the rod there, you're just about 3.5 feet or so. And then the rest of that rod is going to be about 7 feet long. So I mentioned it's a 10'6", so you got about a little over 7 feet. And then you got about 3 to 3.5 feet on that bottom section. Now with that 70-30 rod split design, when you're putting this rod together, it's got that butt into tip section. You can watch that go right in there. It actually goes in quite a ways. Goes in about that far, but on that 70-30 split, your connection's way down here in the butt section. This is the thickest part of the rod, and not right here in the middle where it's going to create a flat section. So when you're making your big long cast and you really want to get that guy going, your bend is way up here and not down here. A lot of times on that 50-50 rod split, that flat section there can really kind of limit your, when you're loading these rods, it really limit it and can slow down your cast a little bit. Maybe give you a little bit off, you know, that could be negligible. Most rod manufacturers use that 50-50 split, but on that 70-30, it could be a little bit of an advantage. This is the HD rod, so the heavy duty version, but it's a cool little feature having that 70-30 split there. So as you're working your way from that split section there, As you can see, it goes way in there. You're talking about a good 4 inches into that blank, so you have a really nice, secure connection on that rod. But working your way forward on that rod, you're going to come into the Seaguide XQH 316 stainless steel guides and frames. And that's going to be that way all the way up the rod there. But as you can see, they're actually a forward angled rod. Forward, the front of the rod's that way, butt section's that way. So they're angled forward. And when you have your reel down here and you make those really long casts, what happens is those big loops of line come off, and that forward angle actually helps to knock those loops down and get that lure, that bait, whatever you happen to be throwing, out further, faster. So it's a cool little angled thing. A lot of times on your standard guides, you can get a big wind knot that comes off. It'll actually loop on there, hard to get off, especially if you're using braided lines. But with that forward, that actually helps that knock that down and get that line going. You don't get a lot of those tangles, those wind knots that happen with those forward angled guides. Now the inserts themselves on these rods are all zirconium inserts. I don't know if you can see that there in the background, but it's a zirconium insert. It's perfect for braided line, monofilament, fluorocarbon. You're not going to get any of that digging that's going to bite down in there that you see on some guides. If you happen to have maybe a ceramic guide, you can get that digging. It'll create sharp edges and break your line off. But you're going to get those zirconium guides all the way up in there. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus a tip. So you have 8 total guides that the line's going to go through, so 7 plus a tip. All that 316 stainless steel, perfect for corrosion resistance. Awesome little rods. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a reel on here. We're going to load this thing up and do my little bending test so you can take a look on what this thing looks like loaded up. Let's do that now. All right, so what I got loaded up here is I've got that 10'6" medium heavy rod. I've got monofilament line, and I've got about a 20-pound bucket with dirt on the other end there. I've got that tied in. I'm going to go ahead and lean back on this rod here and give you an idea of what the actual action is of this. You can see here's the 70-30 split way down here by the butt section, and you can get it that it's got a nice parabolic look to it. There's no flat section where that connection is with that 70-30, just to give you an idea on how much you can really load this rod up. Now this is a 10'6" rod, so I might have to step out of the shot here, but I'm gonna try to get this all in here for you guys. Hope you're getting that. As you can see, there's no flat section above that first stripper guide there, and there's a nice spacing between all those guides on that line there. Nice parabolic look to it. You can really load this guy up here. I don't know if I'm still in frame here, but here's that 70-30 connection. You can see where it flattens out there just a bit, but after that, perfectly parabolic, nice straight bend to it. There's no flat sections all the way in there. With that, you can really load these guys up and get those super long casts. Now, I do appreciate y'all checking in and checking out that Rockaway HD rod. They're cool little surf rods, great components to them, but I do appreciate y'all checking in. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below and subscribe to Davy's World Fishing up in that right-hand corner. See you on the water.